What's up?
Hey
How's
guys.
Go ahead, Val. You always cut me off. Go ahead.
I do not. What's up, everybody? We have Daniel Judd here with us and Rich, who you can't see.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
That's
I don't know if you guys can see me. I can't see the screen up there, so I can't tell where I'm at.
all right. I'll call out questions if you like.
How about that?
Hey, Gabe Honadell is up. What's up from the 717? And Larry Wolf. Hi, peeps. Hey, and Brian Elton is here.
What's up? Like
What's
I said,
up, guys?
man, it's kind of like an honor for sure to get you on here with us.
Because we used to be
Yeah,
on your
man,
show.
like I said, man, you used to keep me up to midnight in my area every night. Man. When you would go live and I'd be like, you got to go to work tomorrow. Yeah, I just have to deal with it because I got to figure out how to rebuild this or rebuild that, man. So, I just think it's very cool, man, that you're a big part, especially the east side over here,
Yeah.
that people watched your show and learned a lot of stuff, and that's what I'm saying, that's where they found the MPRC mostly, you know what I'm saying?
And we truly appreciate everything that you've done and you continue to do.
Well, I'm very humbled. Really, it really touches me, you guys. And it's been a really, really wonderful ride from the first time I did the first show back as Judd's RC Motorsports before I transformed it into 707 Streetcars. Every week or so, I would have somebody write me a letter or reach out or just, hey, man, I'm able to go out and just like at least compete with these guys now. And now I'm beating them. And I just wanted to say thank you very much. I had one guy, I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's deputy sheriff. And now anybody knows me knows I'm in law enforcement. My parents are cops. And I like, officers and people that are associated with law enforcement trade challenge coins and patches and stuff. So this guy sent me a bunch of his patches and stuff from his department. I was like, wow, that was the first kind of, well, it was a funny story. So we did the first show. It was kind of on the cusp of nobody had ever done. Charlie is a guy with Hobby Wing. Charlie, I can never pronounce his last name. Sakua or something. Charlie is a Hobby Wing rep in our local area who helped me kind of when I wanted to do bigger stuff with my tunes than anybody else would do. I would bounce stuff off of him. And Charlie did a show called The Charlie Show. And what Charlie did was kind of next level stuff because it was actually tearing the car apart and showing you what the electronics do. I at the time was on the top of my game at the cutting edge of the sport, and let's face it, for about a year we had the fastest car with the Ghost in the country, maybe around the world. Because I had all kinds of people reaching out to me from Switzerland and the Cayman Islands and Canada, and I think the furthest we got away was Australia. And I remember doing the first show, and I thought to myself, and I think if you go back and watch the first show, I say it maybe once or twice. I say, I'm doing this because everybody's getting bad info on the internet, and I want to be able to show off what we're doing, but have something that's different, kind of a spin-off of what Charlie was doing, but like in depth for the whole freaking car for what we were doing. And if I could just help one person out there go faster at the track this weekend, man, I'm gonna be happy as hell. And we woke up the next morning, and the first video had like 28,000 views. I was like, because I asked Ricky that. I said, Ricky, how many views do you think we'll get? He's like, I'll be happy with a couple hundred. I said, I would too. And we woke up, and I said, and I had to rub my eyes. It's like, shake my phone. Is it messed up? No, it was 28,000 views. So,
holy.
It is humbling as it is to here we are. God, almost 4 years later, and having great folks like yourselves reach out and humbly say, "Hey, man, we were there when you were, you had started out, and you got us going, and this and that." That just means a lot to me. That I went into people's homes more metaphorically speaking, and yeah, metaphorically speaking, Trey Robert, right? You got to use but to be able to enter these guys' lives through a platform. And be able to project it in such a way as a teacher that they could go apply that because it was explained easy enough to them,
help people get interested,
and then go win. And it did. It hyped people up. We were a hype show, So thank you guys very much for saying that. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, and like I said, and you're the one that brought in Well, you're really the main reason we do what we do, kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
because the truthfully is, you know, I don't know if you remember that. That's the bottom frame. I hang it up in my garage. You know what I'm saying? Where I work on my cars and everything. But I bought a car from you a while back. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Way
Yeah,
back
you
when.
called him Georgia Boy.
Yeah, and like I said, I
Back,
still got all
back
the
when
parts.
I was, is this the run of RCRI chassis when I was hand building them one at a time?
Yep.
Yep, I remember that car. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because I
remember
got
that.
it laid out there. You know,
It
saying where the
was
circle goes, it's got the initial. You know what I'm saying, and the number of car. I think it's
Right.
70,
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, and like I said,
Like
and
a lot of
I got
those
that
cars,
car,
man.
Yeah.
and then you got into the sharp bodies, got them going, and then we had to go to King of the Streets,
Yep.
and you know, saying I wanted to see the sharp bodies, and I wanted to see, you know, what I'm saying, y'all's cars running, and that's when me and Valerie decided to start traveling the nation, just going to races everywhere. Figure if we can go to on a weekend, go see y'all, we can go anywhere.
You know, I think that it wasn't so much that I had been into RC for so long that made it so popular. I don't think it was even the fact that the car was so freaking fast, and nothing, no matter what stepped up against it, could beat it. It was the willing and desire to be dedicated, to always be on the cutting edge, find the faster company, find those parts, put them to the test. If they do, buy 2 or 3 of them, rip them off the car and replace them with a new part. And I wanted something new. I don't want to say like I have a crystal ball, but I can see trends coming in the RC sport when you're in any class, when you've been doing it as long as I have, especially if you're one of the founding fathers. Now, granted, in our area, I was not the first one to actually get a list going. You had Gabe, you had Kevin, you had Charlie. These are guys that were going out and just farting it around. I think what I brought was the precision race side of it. No money is too much. Put it all in and go out and win.
Put it all on the line.
And it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was being on the forefront of finding, like I said, the next big thing. And I was not happy with this clunky, cartoony looking Parma body that I was famous for running, the 65 Fastback Mustang from Parma. And I saw one of I didn't know his name at the time, but I saw this body, and I commented on the guy and said, "Who's?" It was because I'm into dirt oval and off road and now drifting and all kinds of stuff. So I'm probably part of like 800 different pages of all RC stuff. And on a dirt oval page, I saw this body, and I want to say it was this Mustang right here, but it was in a dirt oval. And let me take it out. This is Emma's Funky Monkey car. And when I saw the body, I didn't see what everybody else saw. I would look at it and I would kind of clear my eyes out and look at it, and I didn't see a dirt oval car on this guy's post. I saw a drag car sitting there. I was like, dude, the body, when this thing's sitting on the ground, this thing's mean looking, you know? And I saw this look with my big spoiler that, by the way, anybody in the sport 3 years ago who tried to shut NBRC down for big wings, and I was so hated for the big wings, the Bing Wang gang, and you know what? I have one thing to say to all those guys: freaking suck it, okay? But anyway, I saw this body, and I was like, man, it's a dirt oval body. But I think I can make it like what I had envisioned what we're running today. Look what we're running today. This is perfectly acceptable now these days. This is a pro mod. Yes. We got crap for these bodies because they're too pro mod looking. There's not a guy in it with a seatbelt smoking a cigarette in the front seat. It's not scale enough. Well, I saw it. I envisioned it. I said, this is the shape. This is where the sport is going. So I reached out to this guy, real humble, nice guy, out in Wisconsin, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Shark RC Bodies LLC. No. His name is Paul. And me and Paul hit it off right away. And I contacted him. I said, hey, can you guys pop me out? Can you pop me out a body of 040 instead of 060? I know you're making dirt oval bodies. I want to try a little something with it. What do you know about drag racing? And he goes, I don't really want to get into it. But I don't know. Let me get back to it. And I contacted him a week later. And finally he said, okay, you know what? I think that the first time I talked to him, he's like, I don't know. He started looking around online, and I think he noticed, oh shit, this is a big pool of cash out here, you know. So he got a hold of me, and he said, let's be a little more serious about that. And the first body, I believe, actually, holy crap, I have the actual body that was used in the original ad for the Mustang. It should be right over there, Rich. Can you grab it? I would get it, but I'd have to jump on the table. But anyway, so
that's why I'm usually on this other end.
No, one of my best friends. I wanted him over here tonight. He's done a lot of work for Judd's RC Motorsports. It is a gray Mustang body. It says Boss on it. Probably towards the top. Is that it right there? No. I would have put the sucker in a special place. That body means a lot to me. So the body that I'm talking about was the original ad body for the first car we released, and it actually ended up getting raffled off in a big race I had, or that we threw, and it eventually came back to me from a close friend of mine. He called me up one day. And he's like, I've had this thing sitting in my closet for like a year. I can't think of anybody else who it should go to, so just come by and get it. And he was local, so I came back and I have the original Boss body that started it all in the ad. So you guys saw this on the computer the same day that I received my first bodies. And the first body I made out of this was my blue and white car, the Gunslinger. Thank you, Rich. And the rest was history. We caught a lot of flack for it. We caught a lot of shit for it. It was an uphill battle. And I think that with the owner of the company, Mr. Paul Peterson's perseverance.
Howdy, Paul, if you're watching.
Yeah, Paul Peters, if you're watching. Paul has become, I don't think in my whole life, 45 years almost on this earth, that I've ever had a friend so close, so far away. And it sucks because I want to go over, I want to give him a hug sometimes. And sometimes I want to go, hey, dude, you want to go to dinner, see a movie? But I can't because he lives 2,500 miles away. So it's hard that way. But I remember the first 6 months spending probably 5 days a week, 3 or 4 hours a night on the phone with him about planning this and planning that. What are we going to do here? And he kind of like was listening to me, and I was like, wow, I got the body that I really, really liked that somebody's making, who is a smaller company, which I love. I'm always the underdog guy. And he wants to work with me. You know what I'm saying? And I reached out to several companies like that. Some of them let us down. Some of them didn't. But Paul, I mean, I said it from day one 3 years ago. I'm Shark Bodies till I die. I don't want any other bodies. We don't own any other bodies. I probably have 60 bodies sitting over there. Not a goddamn one of them is a crack on the first hit pro line or anything. I don't want to badmouth other companies. I'm an ambassador of the sport. Companies make cool stuff. They got different stuff, and that's what it's all about, is giving somebody what they want. But and I think I get a lot of that from the crap we got from Sharks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now that we're accepted and now that we're making mainstream pro mod bodies, which is what we were trying to give you 3 years ago, I think that I have that little bit of resentment for Paul and the love of Shark in my blood, and I think that'll always live there. And anybody knows me that will tell you that I don't like to badmouth the company. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that there should be arguing or fighting or anything in the sport. That was part of the reason why you haven't seen us in a couple months. That and life and soccer practice and making supervisor and now these dumb things, these drift cars that we're running. So they're actually really fun. People, I kind of saw this crawlers.
They cost just as much, but they don't break.
They don't break.
Near as often.
This one's probably got 5,000 laps on it, about 100 battery packs, and it's the same stickers on it. So,
still going.
But anyway, I kind of got off on a monologue there. Shark, I really hold close to my heart the relationship I have with Paul and the things that I've done. I have within the last couple of weeks passed the gauntlet of team manager and stuff off to Mr. Kidd, I believe.
Yeah, Kid Sims.
Kid Sims. And congratulations, Kid. I think it's awesome. I think that it's not only a team, any kind of team or manufacturer that is going to be even irrelevant in any sport. It needs somebody full-time monitoring it and working with the police department and having my first love not be RC cars, my little girls. I think that's was kind of the the mixture of the stew that kind of made me push away a little bit. You know,
it takes a lot of time to stay at the front of everything, and especially with the drag as fast as it evolved. So
it did. So I had sold the Ghost. I had built another car at the time called the Devil, and it was a Traxxas-based car, carbon fiber. Back when we believed, man, I got to make the cars as light as possible. Now, God, some of my cars are 7.5 pounds. We like that weight because I got that horsepower, But this car, I think my Traxxas car, the lightest we ever got, it was like 690. And this car, full battery, body, everything, came in at like 464. And it was so light, and we never could get the son of a bitch to work. But I saw, again, my crystal ball, I foresaw the technology changing rapidly. So to force myself into the new car and figure something new out to stay with it, I sold the Ghost to Rick Bellotti. And to be honest, what happened, I'll be a gentleman here. Anybody who's friends with me online or in the RC community knows what really went down. For somebody to, after me working so hard to rob and rape and pillage so much stuff from me right in front of my face, I think took a lot of the wind out of my sails. I mean, I lost everything, the logos, the YouTube videos. I don't have any of it anymore for no reason at all other than they were as fast as me because they had learned everything I had to teach them, and they didn't need me. So that was a hard blow. But moving on from that, I said, okay, we'll go back to Judd's RC Motorsports. And I asked Rich if he won because I've known Rich for 20 years. And I knew that if I was going to bring anybody else the second time around and keep it going, that I needed to know certain things. And with Rich, I know those things. So, and then I moved into my first place a year ago, and we built an off-road track, and we get high and sit out back and run RC cars till 3 in the morning when the cops show up. Being on call, being a disaster worker, a first responder, it's really, really hard for me to, if I want to take a week off of work and do a week's vacation or even a couple days vacation, I need to set that up and stuff. I got lots of time. They're very generous to me, but at the same time, I wear a lot of hats in the city that I work for, and I have to pre-schedule it, so it's hard to do. And a lot of these guys are, all of a sudden it blew up, and it's not like this big area and this big area. Now everywhere is having big races, and if you can't make them, dude, you're going to become irrelevant really fast to that scene. And it's like that in real racing too, and I just did not have the time to put into hitting all these events, and that became less and less. Then we bought a house and less, and I got supervisor and less, and that's kind of the way it is now. I have a couple drag cars. We plan on hitting some races soon. I got some new gear here, a couple of Trinity motors, and stuff like that. So we're still gonna go do some local racing. But as far as I once was into it, I don't think in the NPRC world, that it will ever be like that again. And I'm okay with that. Exactly. So to still be recognized all these years later, especially by such great folks like you. If somebody as a godfather and ambassador of the sport, my hat is off to you. Thank you very much. That really, really humbles me and makes me feel like, man, you know what? People did care. I made an impact,
But like you were saying, even if you don't go to big races and everything, that's one thing you did show back then is that's why everybody, that's where all the area codes and all that started coming from. Everybody thought, well, hell, I got a friend. I'm gonna talk him into build. Everybody had a Traxxas. That's what happened. And we seen your show, and then we started just tearing them apart, trying to make them into whatever we could make them into, and we flipped them and wrecked them. And finally, we got faster and faster, and we just had a good time doing it. And that's what the whole thing started. And that was what was so fun about all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And and I don't want to sound so doom and gloom because I made 9 times out of 10 more friends than I did racing than I did, from what happened with fallouts with jerks, I met some good people like Tony Cortez and his son and Gabe and just a lot of good dudes, all the good dudes down in Delta, and there's a bunch of good dudes in Arizona and Texas and the RCDRL. And it just, I was in contact, I'm having lunch with, companies, and it was big time for a while, and it was up to about 6 months ago, and I just kind of said, I don't really, what you guys do for me, I'm not doing anything for you, so I'm just going to be over here playing with my toys. And that's kind of how I ended that. So, but it's really awesome to be back in it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Are you still drinking ginger ale?
You know what? I gave ginger ale up. And the reason why is because there's so much sugar in it. And I was trying to lose a few pounds. I was upwards of, like 185?
That's funny. I was going to bring one over and set one on the table.
No, I gave it up 2 or 3 months ago. And I was just doing iced tea, and I'm back to doing 1 or 2 sodas, maybe every 2 or 3 days, but they're all 0 sugar. And unfortunately, the 0 sugar in diet ginger ale tastes like salty horse piss. I'm sorry, it does. If it's not a real Canada Dry sugar added ginger ale, it's not for me. So
that's
yeah.
Gabe Honadell says custom making parts before they were available before all the companies popped up.
Yeah.
Who was?
Gabe Honadell said you were custom making parts before they were available before all the companies popped up.
We were. And it's funny that you bring that up, and you just mentioned the Traxxas platform. There were a lot more worthy platforms out there. But the spectrum at which a Traxxas vehicle can be modified, especially a two-wheel drive slash, and the price point of really dumping money into it was kind of so broad that it was kind of a no-brainer. There wasn't much you could do back then other than maybe take like a Team Losi had like an SCT truck, and Associated had an SCT truck, and they were good. But right from the get-go, there was already 10 times more. It's like a Ford Mustang. There's always going to be 10 times more companies and such a bigger following because it's been made for so many years, and there's so many of them out there that, but the price point is the same reason why when I was building real stock cars, I'd have these diehard Ford guys have me put LS motors. I'd swap them, and it killed me. And it killed them too. But there was a price point. They can spend $50,000 on a real Henry, a 408 stroker or something, and if anything happens, they're done for the day for 50 grand. As to where 50 grand with an LS motor, he can have 2 backups sitting in the trailer if something were to go awry. And that's kind of the way we looked at the Traxxas cars. There's so much available. I mean, this is before Associated, Losi, anybody else was even. Every now and then you'd see some guy, it's an old Schumacher. You're like, cool, dude. It's cool that you're out here doing that. But the Traxxas was just where it's at. You could take any of their A-arms and go right here, drill a hole, and put a sway bar link in. It was so easy to modify them. And I found a really good formula, and it was really hard to beat.
Gabe Honadell says all the OG racers were Traxxas endless possibilities.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then everybody shopped at your local hobby shop. You know what I'm saying? Jake's Performance Hobbies. We all shopped at your local hobby shop, Jake's Performance Hobbies.
Good.
Me and Kids were talking about that a couple weeks ago, wasn't we? About the Willie bars. You know what I'm saying? We had bought, I don't know how many Willie bars from Jake's Performance.
There you go.
Jake's Performance Hobbies in Roanoke Park. You can call them Tuesday through Saturday at 707-586-3375, baby. So Jake's, this isn't just like, hey, I decided to get in it 3 or 4 years ago and I stumbled across this hobby shop. I've been doing RC since 84-ish. And in 84 or 85 or whenever it was, it actually wasn't Jake's, it was R&P Hobbies. And Jake was he was an employee there, and they had races out in the parking lot. And I was just dumbfounded as a kid. I mean, I started at 8 years old, 10 years old, my wheels would fly off, and I got a little better, and I got a little better. Next thing you know, I'm 12 or 13, I'm winning races, I'm TQing, But anyway, Jake eventually ended up buying in the shop, and he could chime in, somebody could chime in, I want to say late 80s, and bought the shop off the original owner and changed it to Jake's Performance Hobbies. And it was such a good hobby shop that I lived, at the time when I was a kid, I was 50 miles away. And we would get on the bus and spend an hour and a half to 2 hours on the bus to go to Jake's at 13 years old, back when it was still safe to do that stuff. And so it's more of a family tradition. It's Jake's. He's the nicest guy. When you think of like, I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna order something from an RC car, anything you want. You can get it from A-Main Hobbies, right? Jake is always $10 cheaper than A-Main. Now, I'm not saying that's not a coupon for him. Don't say, hey, dude, Dan Judd said this. But usually if I want something and it's $189.99, I can go over to Jake's and he's got them in it. It's either that price or it's less, you know? So there's no reason not to go support your local hobby shop. What I don't want to happen is, and I've said this a million times, just go support your local hobby shop. Go support your LHS. But look at certain things, Blockbuster, Kmart, all the things we grew up with were so awesome in the mid-'80s and '90s, radical. You know what I'm saying? They have been Amazoned. They've been targeted. They've been Walmarted. And I don't want that to happen to RC. And if any of you out there that see this show, if you don't go support your local hobby shop, even if it's a couple bucks more than A-Main Hobbies, you don't support them, they won't be there in the next couple of years. And guess what? You just Amazon hobby shops, and now A-Main is at Amazon. Don't do that. Support your local hobby shop, you know?
Agreed.
Totally.
Yep, that's a real big deal. You're exactly right. $5 more don't make a darn. You're supporting your local hobby shop to have a place to go. That's what it's all about.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
What you got?
Not nice. Kevin says shark for life.
Yeah, that's one thing we all are here. I
Yeah.
know you're talking about Paul Peterson, man. You know, we like sharp bodies. We've ever since your show, man, I fell in love with it. And then we got a dirt oval in Cochran. They're building a whole hobby shop. He's building an indoor kind of a under shelter dirt oval, and he's going to build a drag track, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he's got nothing but sharp bodies. I mean, there's sharp bodies from wall to wall.
When I was, and I'll just say it, I mean, Shark is Paul Peterson. He bought the company years and years ago, but I think that's the one thing, and I don't want to toot my own horn here. You know, Paul has done a lot for me. I've done a lot for him. But at the same time, I feel like maybe eventually he would have got into it, but not like the way we did. I mean, I was the ambassador for bringing his stuff to market in the MPRC world. And I'm so happy I would so go through that headache 10 times over because it made it what it is today. And it's the benchmark. You know, people think, okay, there's, you know, you got Proline and you got Shark. Well, wait a minute. You know, a year and a half ago, people would say, well, you got Proline and you got J Concepts. And then you have this, and you have that, and then you have Shark. Well, not anymore, baby. I mean, we have scratched. If anybody has earned it more, it was Paul Peterson. Yeah. He has gotten the living shit kicked out of him every day for the last 3 years. Paul, I'm sorry. I wish I could hug you. I'm not there right now. Deal with it. But this is where we've come to. You know, I mean, look at this thing.
Yep.
This thing's just a rocket. It's just a rocket.
It's like you were saying earlier. It starts off, you know, that's what I've always supported, man, the underdog. If you don't think it can happen, I'm going to ride, you know what I'm saying? And that's what, you know, you got to have faith in what you believe in, man. That's what, you know, when you're in companies or whatever, you're sponsored, if you like it, you're supposed to like it all the way to the end and watch it grow, help it grow.
Well, I think it's coming full circle. Now, take it from somebody who has, people can take this as a grain of salt or whatever, but from somebody who's seen so many different real race sanctions and seen a lot of similarities in RC stuff over the years, when a class gets out of control, take out of control however you want it, then it is either eliminated, which I don't think it would be in this arena of MPRC, but I think what would happen was you do what other race sanctions that don't go away do, and they scrub everything they've been doing and they go back to grassroots. And I foresee in the next 6 months that a majority of club racers and clubs across the United States will go back to dry tire, no prep, because that's basically where it came from.
Local top 10 list racers or points.
Because let's face it, you can't buy a GFRP or an R1 car and then go buy some tire compound to make it sticky and charge your batteries and go out to the track and just race it and win anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be people that have more time to spend on it. And that's where it comes down, is the hard work. And if you don't have that time and you don't have the money or the means to stay at the cutting edge, well, eventually you're going to have more and more tiles off the spaceship rip off to where it's just going to burn up. You know what I'm saying? And look at Street Outlaws. I mean, that's kind of happened. It was kind of going downhill the last 2 or 3 years, and now they did this whole getting back to roots and where we started, and they built a bunch of street cars. And I think that that's going to happen with MKRC. I'd love to see that happen. I love dry tire racing, you know. At the end of the day, somebody put it the other day, these cars have turned into slot cars. They're slot cars. You know, now granted, there's a lot more to it than just pulling the trigger on a slot car. But if you had to take the way we used to do shit and the way that it's done now and compare it to a slot car, well, hands down. I mean, it's you know, so to really, and that's kind of like having, back when I used to do my night races, I would have a secret location, and I would announce the location 3 hours before the race, and there was no practicing there, or you were disqualified, because the road, nobody knowing what road it was going to be on, was the equalizer. You know. Now, granted, all tracks are different, but at the end of the day, when you got a nice freaking, you know, spot, and throughout the day it's collected more and more stuff and more and more stuff and more and more stuff. Well, the road isn't really the equalizer as much anymore. I've been told that, you know, hey man, they're not making 1.5 or 1.6 passes right off the trailer when the race starts. That's after a day or two of it being raced on, and that's sticky and it's hot in the sun, and that track's getting fast. And I think that was a huge equalizer, was the dry tires. And I would love to race some dry. Maybe I'd go up north to.
Didn't change the surface.
Didn't change the surface, yeah. So. I mean, that's just my opinion. I kind of see a lot of the places.
And you're 100% right. I've always believed that too, and that's that. You know, and there ain't nothing wrong with the way that they do it, and they race, and they're getting faster and faster. But as far as, like I said, there's more people getting out of it because they think they can't, and you know, what I'm saying, ever get to that point, and it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what you just said, you take what you just said and combine that with all the big-headed people in the sport that are fighting and arguing and stuff. That's going to make people leave the sport so fast. I don't care how fast you are, how good you've done, what kind of point series or trophies you've won, or whatever it's about. When you get in an argument, start calling names to people on the internet, being a so-called ambassador of the sport, you are actually demonizing and terrorizing the sport. And the average guy, which is the average guy at your local hobby shop, making, you know, spending the money and this and that. There's more average guys in this sport, and there always will be, there always has been, than there will be top leaders. That's why they're top leaders. They're the fast guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the dry tire comes back in, because it equalizes it for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff in the last couple months, and I just kind of shake my head and be like, dude, are you guys kidding me, man? You know, you claim to be backed by this company and this company and this company, and you're out here talking to other racers like this? You know, what about my 9-year-old little girl? You know, she's always over my shoulder. You know, if someone were to say nasty to me or something, or about her or something on the internet, and she saw it, my heart would break. Probably to the point where I might take a car trip, you know? No, but it really is. It demonizes the sport. And most people, a majority, I don't think that human beings in general want drama, you know? I don't want to go, that's why I'm single, because I can't find a girl that just doesn't have any freaking drama, you know? So I stay single. That's, you know, when there's a lot of drama and something, people are repelled from it, and you start seeing cars go up for sale and stuff like that. And it's really sad, but... So I'm not saying I'm all for going back to dry tire. I just say that it seemed to me that it was more fun back then. You know?
Definitely. I think it was more fun with, like you said, about the Traxxas and just building. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, it was, you had a Traxxas and you turned it into something, and it was just cool, man. I remember going to the hobby shop and looking to see what I could fit on my Traxxas that would be legal to make it just a little bit better. You know what I mean? And most time it would tear it up or something wouldn't go right, but, you know, it looked cool for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, but there's another side of that, and that is that I am a firm believer in you either advance or you get mowed over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you get left behind if you don't continue to advance forward. But yeah, I think this sport advanced so quickly, and it pushed a lot of people aside that couldn't stay up with it.
It did, and here's why. It blew up. This is the wave of people, and it wasn't just one huge wave. It was wave after wave after wave. You know, they'd get 1,236 people in it in 1 week, you know, all over the country. And then the next week it'd be 1,314, and then 936. And there was just like, nobody has ever seen a wave after wave after wave of competitors get in, willing to spend their hard-earned money to be on one and go out and show them how big their thing was out on the strip. And because of that, it could the manufacturers could not turn a nose to that. Even the ones that said, "Now we're cool, we're only dirt oval," eventually got into it anyway because it was just way too much fun. Even the dirt guys were leaving their dirt cars at home and going and racing drag racing. So and I want to say I was probably in on the first 80% of the real huge wave of coming in and technology forefront, up until the last 20%, the last couple months, where I'm just like, I don't really need to do this anymore, and we'll go out and race and have fun, but I wish somebody would have a big race closer to me that I could go to. I think I was the only one ever in California that really put on that big benefit, and even then, a big benefit then was 100 cars, 120 cars. That was a lot of people, Now that's nothing. That's a small race.
That was still around coronavirus too. So
it was. We were right at the beginning. We didn't stop in the coronavirus. So, but yeah, because I
like the dry tire thing. That would be a cool, a cool way to do a couple races. That's like that. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Daniel. We do a point series too, but it's a little bit different than what everybody else. We have you have different hosts all around the United States and different states, and they do 6 races. And after them 6 races, they can drop the worst race, but the top 5 get a token, and they get to come to Florida to a race called Clash of the Titans, and they race for the Clash of the Titans. And the whole idea behind that, when I thought of that and got into building that, was to get more people into the sport. And it turned into where people turned it into a more of a speed thing and everything else. It really didn't. The fast guys jumped in, and that's pretty much what it was, and it turned out to be pretty good. But I do like the idea of the no prep. Bringing it back like the old two. That would be a cool way to do a point series like that, just to get the regular everyday guys into
it. And other people, every couple of weeks you see somebody, hey, why don't we try this class, or why don't we try that class, or hey guys, look at this class. And the reason why they want to do it and nobody ever does it is because adding a class, a whole other class, a whole other race to an already 1 or 2 or 3 day race is just too much. So I think the only way to get that done would be to hold races that are, hey, just to let everybody know we got a big race coming up. It is a dry tire race. You're not allowed to run anything. That's the only way you're going to make it happen.
Well, we have 2 local places. We have Mendo that runs, and then we have Lake County that runs. And those guys stay dry tire. They don't want to advance to putting compound on their tire. They just
that makes it where you have to drive the car. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll blow the tires with that car, and that car is going to flip everywhere if you just put the raw power to it with no. I mean, that's what they're doing now, is gluing them down. I mean, if you glue.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. Me and him did a lot of work with tire prep. I think that my favorite stuff was the reaction time. We have 75-mile-an-hour cars. I mean, they're not. I've been fast on prep. I just. Looking at all this, as far as I got into a prep race and looking at what we used to do, I like what we used to do better. It was more unpredictable. It was more,
balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Yep, it was cool. Yeah, like I said, we like prep too. But like I said, it's like almost 2 different worlds is what it is now versus what we're talking about here. Because back then we were about, you had the rear motors. You know what I'm saying? You changed the chassis, but you still used all the parts of a stock car. You know what I mean? You can go in there and buy the cheapest Flash you could buy, but you still had to use the parts. Now we're not doing that no more. It's not really an off-road, a truck or anything like we started off with. Remember the rules was you had to have these kind of certain things, and now you can just buy a pre-kit. You know what I mean? Where it's never been nothing but a drag car. I mean, that's all it's been is a drag car, and that wasn't the way it was brought in. So I do like that. Go ahead.
And I still implement that in a lot of my RC cars. If I can't take an old piece of carbon fiber I'm not using and cut it and shave it and drill it out and make something cool out of it, then I don't even really want to even touch that RC car. I like custom stuff, I built race cars for a living. It's so
Gabe Honadell said, we've added a class that takes it back to the old days. No prep, full body cars, no pro mods. It's a blast. And then Brian Elliott says Real Street.
That'd be a cool name for it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Real Street.
Well, see, it's funny, and I like that they're doing that. My hat's off to them. But I wouldn't want to see it like really ruled out. Like, hey, we're gonna run dry tire, but you can't have no pro mod bodies, no wings, wheelie bar. Once you start adding a bunch of rules, then people don't want to run it. I think that's what happened at 13.5. Yeah. I want to say, you know what? Bring your drag car just like it is. We're just going to run dry tire. Yeah. I hope it works on a dry tire.
Yeah, but and that's like the biggest thing. The only thing that I would say rear motor. That's the only rule I would say. I would say you would need to be rear motor, just like the Traxxas 2-wheel drive / comes. Other than that,
maybe that's a good idea.
Anything rear motor, right?
It's to hold a legend OG race here in California.
Anything short course truck, rear motor, any body. Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yep. And
maybe we might have to talk about that. The one big race I put out, the whole thing I wanted to do was, my idea was to raise money for cancer research over at St. Jude's, and we raised almost $4,000 that race. So I wonder if we held a true dry tire, we could put another check together with, maybe all the.
That would be awesome.
You come up with something like that, you count us in, man. We'll help you promote the crap out of that, dude, and we'll be there. That sounds like a good airplane flight for me.
Yeah, we got some people who still love that track.
I'm still really close friends with Ryan and Daryl that have access to Sears Point Raceway drag strip on the nights they're not running it. So having a real drag strip.
There you go.
And then, like I said, it was fun back then. And because everybody worries about the motors and ESCs and the limits and all that stuff, but the truth is there's no glue on the ground. It's all about driving. You can have as much power as you want, but if your car ain't gonna take it, there's only so much gonna go to the ground. So you got to tune it, you got to test it, you got to do everything right to make it work, and that's what made it fun.
That's the way we started, was all the power at once, and it was a controlled spin down the track. Yeah. Just who can get down there the fastest.
Who can control something out of control the best. Yep, absolutely. And that's where the real driver came in,
Yeah, it was always. Yeah,
it was more driver than it was car. And I'm not saying that it's not driver these days. There's some very talented people out there,
But glue helps.
They're talented not because of their tuning and everything.
I said this before anybody even thought of running glue 3.5 years ago, amongst when I was still with Ricky and the other guy, and that is that the only way these cars are going to propel themselves faster is to eliminate wheel spin, to make a dead hook. And here we are. I mean, I think the fastest pass with a shark body, by the way, I will mention, it's like a 1.5 something at 80 something miles an hour. That's obscene. That's triple X rated. That's the fast stuff, Is
that the fastest recorded time right now?
Yes.
Yep. And it was with I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was with the 57 Chevy from Shark, right?
It was.
Yeah, sure was.
Good show.
That's moving.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I love you for having us on, but it's about 113 degrees in this room right now. My AC is in the other room, and I'm afraid that the old man here is going to keel over. And then I might, because I'm old too. So.
But like I said, man, one thing, thank you for coming on here, y'all. And like I said, man, I just tell you, like I always tell everybody, dude, whenever you want to do anything, we're with you, man. If you ever want to come on, you hit us up. This ain't our channel. This is the RC's channel. I mean, so whatever y'all want to do, anything y'all want to do, we can help you. You're more than welcome to do anything. I mean, we do it.
You just gave them an open invitation to talk with your.
Yeah.
I think that's why my old shows would go 2.5 hours, because I would just start monologuing. Okay, now let's get the inner structure of this axle. You're like, what? But hey. Most would really understand. Oh wow, I didn't know I did that.
And we're off in 3, 2.
And any of my followers that might come across this, I still to this day get probably 4 or 5 emails or messages through Facebook on Messenger from RC guys asking questions. And as far as because some of the stuff hasn't changed. Some of the chassis geometry and some of the caster and the camber and the anti-squat. So if anybody's got any questions, reach out. So, but other than that, thank you guys so much for letting us come on here.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, like I said, it was an honor to be on our show. So
have a good day. Go Team Shark.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll see y'all soon.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
I'm hot as hell.